I usually have these long, like, really deep thought opening statements. But I did come in here with a purpose today. I wanted to congratulate Katie Cawley in women's volleyball for what she's done this year and get a chance to host this weekend in the NCAA tournament. I think that's a pretty big deal for first-year head coach and her, like, really following, like, tough gig following Russ. So, like, awesome on her part. So I want to congratulate her and everybody else. Like, we've had a great fall here at Penn State. It's like a great time to be here with, you know, with Shar and field hockey, what they did with Erica and then the women's soccer program, Coach Franklin and the football team finishing up 10-2. Like, you know, it's a great time to be here. And it's fun to be here in the BJC. I know the women's program is undefeated as well, and we're kind of feeding off of each other with those vibes. So it's a good time to be a Nittany Lion. So now you guys can fire away with Clemson questions.
Micah, how important is this Big Ten ACC challenge for you as a measuring stick and for the conference as a measuring stick?
Yeah, you know what? It's we used to talk about it all the time. Like when I was at Purdue, like it was one of the things Coach Painter would always bring up is these opportunities that you get against other leagues. You know, we want to establish ourselves as as the best league in the country, and you do that by these kind of matchups that you get. We got a chance to play in the Big East, and you know we got to do our part, right? Everybody does their part, and then we stand out in that way. So we have to do our part this year. We didn't get it done last year. Lost at home against Miami. Now we need to go on the road and help our league, right? Help the power of our league, raise the power of our league. We can all help each other in this way, so we all get what we want at the end of the year. And you know, people can be upset or can say what they want about the Big Ten, but we've started out great. Now we got to continue that through the rest of the non-conference, and so no, this is big. This is a great opportunity for us. This is a great measuring stick game for us. We got to do and continue to play how we've played. We got to take it on the road with us and do that. We didn't have success on the road last year. Now we need to show maturity. We need to show some toughness and play the same exact way as we do at home on the road.
Micah, we're about a quarter of the way through the season now. Where's the team at compared to where you thought they would be, and do you think they're sort of ready for this three-game stretch that things ramp up pretty quickly here?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really have like a kind of roadmap for where I wanted us to be. I just want us to play good basketball every time that we get out there. You know, I felt like yesterday, you know, I don't want to get my days confused here. We came in, played Friday, came in Saturday, didn't do much, watched some film. Guys got some workouts in, took Sunday off. No. Yesterday was Sunday, right? Yeah. We had really good practice yesterday. Right? My days are all messed up with Thanksgiving and everything else. But we had a really good day, right? We didn't have to stay out there long because they were so sharp. They were so ready to practice. Like the things that we wanted to work on, you could see it clicking. And that's what we want to do. Tell those guys, it's November, it's late November, and who we are as a team is not who we want to be at the end of the season, but we're getting closer and closer with each day that we come out and practice. So we need to do it again today and kind of, you know, have some momentum going into tomorrow night's game. But I like where we're going. I like where our team is, and you know, defensively I think we're getting better, and offensively we're starting to figure some things out, and we're starting to work on some things that I think will come up here, you know, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's Saturday, whether it's Wednesday, whether it's next Saturday, whatever it may be. You know, we're trying to get better as a program on both sides of the ball, and I think we're doing that.
Hey, Micah, looking at Clemson's offense, after watching film, what's the first thing that jumps out to you?
First of all, like Brad Brownell, I've known him for a long time. He's from Indiana. He's from Southern Indiana. Played at DePaul University where I coached. You know, was a really good player there. You know, battled against them when he was at Wright State when we were at Butler. So, you know, we played Clemson when I was at Purdue a couple of years ago. They are a sound system-based program. So defensively, they're going to be tough, like tough, physical. Offensively, that's how they play. They're tough and they're physical. And he's such a good coach that, like, he's going to go back and watch, right? Like, I would expect them to try and beat us up in the paint, right? That's what they do. They do it to, no matter who it is. So we got to be ready for that. And then they have really good guard. Chase Hunter is a guy that can attack out of pick and roll situations with the ball in his hand off of drives, but he shoots 60% from three, right? So you got to have guys that can be able to guard both. And then they mix it up with different things. Hemingway's a shot maker that runs off screens. They run good actions for him out of timeouts or out of sets. P.J. Hall is recovering from injury, but he can come in. He's not playing a bunch of minutes right now, but he's an all-ACC guy. So he got 10 shots up in about 15 minutes the other night, right? He's a guy that's a go-to guy for them. So they have a bunch of ways that they can attack you. So we got to be solid at all 5 positions that are on the court to kind of take away what they want to do.
Micah, we saw Meach make his debut on Friday night.
You heard Meach make his debut.
He really jumped in. I guess what would you make of him getting that first taste of college basketball action?
Yeah, he was just so excited to play. He hadn't had a chance to yet, and that first game's hard, right? He was playing 200 miles an hour. I think the more time that he gets to play, the more he'll slow down. He's actually looked good in practice. He's done good things in practice. Now he's getting with like a group where you can put all those freshmen kind of together, and he can play in stretches where he doesn't need a sub, right? So now he's playing longer and longer into practice, but he's so smart and he's so crafty. But until the game slows down, I don't know if you'll see it. He's good in pick and rolls, getting out of pick and rolls for how big he is. He's got quick feet and he gets out of them really fast and gets to the rim. But then, he doesn't mind throwing his body around, and that's something that'll help us in what we need. So we just need some more minutes for him so things slow down a little bit. Like, I understood it. Like, it was his first time playing, so it was like first time he ever had caffeine or something. Man, he was on a huge high. So we'll limit that intake here until we can properly handle it.
You've talked about, or my interpretation is that you're shooting a lot of threes based on personnel, for lack of a better explanation. That in an ideal world, if you could build your basketball team from the ground up, you'd have some guys in the paint that could do certain things, you'd have some guys from the outside that could shoot well, but since you don't have all of those things, that this is the mitigating option for how you want to play basketball. What happens if it works? I mean, what happens if you win 23 regular season games or something like that, doing the opposite of the equation that you would have done at the outset? And how does that change what you do moving forward if suddenly the solution to a problem becomes the answer to a different thing?
Yeah. I think, part of who you are as a coach, part of how you grow as a coach, you have to be able to evolve, right? I think if you looked, from some of the coaches that have been around, the 2 guys that I spent the most time with in Brad Stevens and Matt Painter, I think they've both evolved as coaches, and you have to do that because, if I have one set system and your guys don't fit that system, like what's the good of it, right? You could be John Wooden, but your stuff isn't going to work if you don't have the guys to fit that, right? What we have to do, what our program is always going to look like, it's going to revolve around who our best players are. So whatever our best players do, that's what we're going to do offensively. That's what our strengths will be. So if some 7-foot, 290-pound dude walks in here, then we're probably going to throw the ball into the post if he's our best player, right? We're not going to do it if he's not, and then force feed that. But once he becomes that, that's who we'll become. We'll always be a team that the characteristics of the pace that we want to play with in the half court, sharing the ball, playing the right way, like those things will never leave. But our offense will kind of evolve with who your best players are, and when you find out who those guys are, that's what our system will become. I'm not going to fit. I don't know this analogy. I couldn't mess this up. This won't be the first time. Like, what is it? Like a square peg into a round hole, something like that. Like, I'm not going to force anything on guys that don't fit. But we recruit fits, and we recruit guys that fit our system. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I mean, would it change anything about your best player is a product of who you're going to go out and recruit. If you want to play with a John Hara, you're going to go find a John Hara.
Yeah.
If you say, I just want 6 Seth Lundys or something like that, there's a certain decision-making process about who your best player becomes based on going and finding him.
Yeah. And then you could go recruit him, and then somebody else could become your best player, right? Like, I could. Somebody can just keep developing and getting better, and now you change and tweak what you do just to fit those guys. So we'll play a similar style, but some things might evolve based on who becomes that number one guy, who becomes that kind of alpha dog for us that we have to go to, and then base everything else off that.
Hey, Coach, we saw Evan Mahaffey play a little bit. We've seen him in a lot of different roles, his versatility. What can you make of Evan's ability to play 1 through 5, and what maybe he needs to work on to continue to improve in his first year here at Penn State?
Yeah, I think he needs to play without thinking so much. And that's hard, right? Because, nothing's been set. I think that's probably the hardest thing for guys to adjust to when they haven't ever played for me. Is I'm pretty random, right? Evan could be in and with Keba. He could be in with Caleb. He could be in and standing next to Miles, right? Like, you don't know who you're going to play with. And that's also something that I guess the opponent's got to think about too. They have no idea who I'm going to put in because things are, I'll do it on a whim based on what I see or what I think. Evan's versatility allows us to do that because he's got to be able to play a lot of different roles. I think, right now he's thinking too much, so he's only doing, you can only give him so much, right? Can't give him the keys, and now, he's all over the place. He's looking out both windows. He's looking out the back window, and he's about to run into a car in front of him, right? Like, he needs to focus on what he's doing. Then once he does that, then we'll be able to give him more and more responsibility, right? Like, now he's doing that, and he's in certain spots based on how people are guarding us when he's in the game and who's guarding him. So we go to certain things. There's some other things we'll be able to go to with him later on in the season once things kind of slow down a little bit. So I think his versatility is really helpful and will be helpful for us. His athleticism, he needs to rebound more. He needs to be more of a playmaker for us. And then once he stops thinking, once he just starts playing off instincts, then you'll see a lot of stuff open up.
Micah, you mentioned in the preseason that Seth had done a lot of work on improving off the ball as a defender. How far has he come from that standpoint, now that you've had some time to watch him do it in games, and how important has that been to your team's defensive progress?
Yeah, he's he's kind of doing what we need, and he's moving around the different guys, right? We're always going to start him on the best perimeter guy or the perimeter guy that will give us the most problems or could. So, every single night he's kind of taking that onto his shoulders of he's embraced it. Now he's doing more things where, he's not just a solo defender of I'm just going to guard this guy and that's it. Now he's a help defender. Now he's getting good in switches. Now he's getting good in other pick and roll defense. Now he's recognizing things off the ball and getting smaller guys away from the post and getting them out. So just like he is on offense, he's understanding, his understanding of what we're trying to do on both ends of the court has really, really picked up. I told him after the game Friday that, just that I could see it, right? It's his hard work, whether he's doing it by himself, whether he's doing it watching film, whether he's doing it on the court with GAs or coaches, it's showing. It's showing. So Like I'm happy with where he's at. I think he still can keep getting better. Like that's the crazy thing is, he still has some ways he can keep getting better. But like, if he didn't at all and he just played this way, I'd still be pretty pleased with it.
Excuse me. Is there still a learning curve for Cam, kind of playing off the ball? Where's he at in the process of acclimating to not having the ball in his hands all the time?
Yeah, it's still a learning, still a process, a learning process for him. But I think the more games you play now, the more comfortable he gets. He gets opportunities in practice where he and Pick are playing together. There's also times where he's solo, right, and we take Pick out in those practices. So now he's kind of learning two different ways of doing things, and it is different, right? You play something, you do something for 4 years, and now you got to flip it, you got to change it. So maybe Zach Spiker and I are saying the same things, or want the same things, but we're saying them in different ways, or we want it to occur in a different way, and I think he's still trying to figure that part out. But he's been aggressive. I like his aggressiveness. He's actually, he gets in here every single day on the court with Fish and works on his shooting, works on attacking closeouts, kind of the things that he's getting more now that he's playing off the ball a little bit more, and you can start to see that confidence rise as he does that.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Micah.
Miles and Evan will be in here momentarily.
Tell Evan to quit thinking so much.